Lost City Knits is going to be discontinuing one of its longest running yarn lines. Oak Barn Merino was, I believe, the second yarn line Denise created after the Lost City Silk. As a bit of a send-off, we wanted to explain why it's called what it's called. Before we got into the yarn business, I had no idea that a yarn line would need a specific name to go along with it. Denise chose Oak Barn Merino because Lost City Knits is based in eastern Oklahoma on land that my parents and grandparents bought when I was just a kid. Like many an Oklahoma farm, ours has an old oak barn. Denise thought that just like a farm needs an old oak barn, a good lace knitter needs a good, solid merino yarn. Over its time, our barn has seen a lot of action and a lot of wear and tear. Back when we had cattle, they would seek shelter there from Oklahoma thunderstorms. Our obstinate horse, King, would spend hours and days standing in the doorway looking over the farmyard hoping for either a treat to be brought his way or for a gate to be left open. King had two companions, Casey and Scarlet. Both of those horses were the offspring of Savannah, who was a mare that my mother bought soon after the family bought this land. On Savannah's final day, she took her last breath right there in front of the oak barn, flanked by both Casey and Scarlet. The barn itself is divided into thirds. The northernmost section is closed off. It contains enough lumber from projects I've attempted over the years to probably rebuild the barn should that occasion present itself. There is an old cast iron wood stove tucked away. My parents' old hi-fi console is in there, as is a sled that Denise and I pull out on snow days. The middle portion of the barn is open on both ends with barn doors. That's where King would stand. King is no longer with us, so our kayaks currently reside there. The southernmost third is an open shed roof. That's where I keep our firewood. I hope to stay ahead of the game. It's said that you can tell a lot about someone by looking at his woodpile. Mine's a bit thrown together, but will make it through the season. We know a little bit about the barn's origin, because of a woman named Sybil, who made several unannounced visits here over the years. Her first rather spectacular visit was maybe 2 decades ago, probably more than that now. My father came home from a day in town to find a car parked in front of the farmhouse. That isn't common, but it isn't unheard of either. Maybe a hunter was tracking something down, maybe someone ran out of gas. He didn't think too much of it, until he opened the farmhouse door to be greeted by a dog he'd never seen before. He walked through the house, and in the bedroom, there was Sybil in bed. Imitating Baby Bear from Goldilocks, Dad said, "There's been someone sleeping in my bed, and she's still there." Sybil woke up, got up, introduced herself, said, "Oh, that's what country folk do. They just make themselves at home." She explained that she was taking a trip down memory lane and that she and her family lived here when she was a kid. On another unannounced visit, she brought us a photo of the barn when it was quite young. The last time we saw Sybil was yet another unannounced visit when she showed up asking for a piece of wood from the barn because she was in the process of making her own coffin. More recently, the barn served as an impromptu photo set when the publishers of This Land Press contacted Denise to see if she would be willing and able to be a back cover model for an upcoming issue. They needed a photo pretty quickly. Denise and I happened to be ready to go out for the evening, so she grabbed a brand new shawl design. I grabbed my camera, and we did a quick photo shoot right there in King's Door, the result of which ended up on the back cover of the magazine. The barn itself needs a little bit of work. A spring Oklahoma thunderstorm did some damage to the shed roof. I haven't taken care of that yet, and the old oak everywhere shows its age. Someday, I expect, and I hope it's far from now, the old oak barn will no longer stand. It has certainly been a good character here. As far as the yarn goes, Denise designed a lot of patterns from it. An early one was Generations. There was Talamina, Lafitte. Switchgrass was probably the most recent. That's from our book of patterns inspired by the tallgrass prairie. Oak Barn Merino will be replaced with something else. Denise's lace work is not going away, nor are the designs. There is more to come from Lost City Knits.